Hi, welcome to my channel, Gigi's Altered Objects. We're going to work on 2 pages today that are going to mirror each other. So everything we do, we're going to do twice, but for opposite sides. So the first thing that you're going to need are 2 pieces of black paper, and those will be 12 by 6.5. And then you're going to score both papers at the 6.5 inch line, and then give it a nice crease with your bone folder. There it is. Alright, so we have 2 pieces like that, and I have one done already. So as we work, these 2 pieces are going to mirror each other like this. Okay? We're not going to add the extra patch right here. We want those pages to be shorter. That's the way that we're going to design it. Alright, then what you're going to need for this, I'm using the tag die from Graphic 45. You can create your own tag, you can make a template, or you can just make a short page. This will be 4 inches. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure. Yes, it's 4 inches wide by 6.5 inches tall. And then you're also going to need, so you're going to need 2 of these, either the page or use the Graphic 45 or your own template for a tag. Then you're going to need a hinge, and that 2 hinges, so that's going to be black paper that is 1 inch by 6.5 inch, and you'll score each of those on the 1/2 inch line, and then give that a nice crease with your bone folder. Alright, so we're going to begin by putting these 2 frames together. These are going to be the top pages that are going to face each other. So we want one side of the hinge to go on the back side of the tag. I'm going to use a wet glue, because remember, this is going to be used, and whenever it's something that's going to be moved, we want to use a good wet glue so that it's secure. So we're going to do that to both tags so that that can dry. Okay, so there's one. And don't worry if it looks too long, we can trim that when it's dry. And actually, I don't think we're going to see it once we attach it to the other paper. Alright, so we're going to do that again. You're going to have your either black short page or your tag. And this time, so this one will adhere to this. Nope. There we go. So this is going to be the opposite side. And it looks a little rough down there. Well, you really won't see that when we're done, but I gave it a little sand. Okay, so on this side, wet glue. And attach the hinge. So you just want to make sure that you have one that's going to fit on the right side and one that's going to fit on the left side. Okay? Alright. This one is probably dry, so we're going to adhere that to our paper. See it? Yep, you really won't see that. Actually, I think I'm going to trim it. I'm just going to follow the line of the tag. And just like the hinges we made before, We're going to tuck this behind our 2 pages. One of them is 6 inches and the other is 6.5 inches. You might want to double check that because this one might be 5. Let me just make sure. Yes, this one's 5.5. So there's an inch in between there. The top one's 5.5 and the bottom one will be 6.5. All right, I'm going to make sure that closes nicely, and we'll put those clips back on and do the same thing to this side. So just like with the animal print tag we had earlier, let's give that a trim first. We're just following the tag and trimming it like that. Then placing the glue here. This part of the hinge we're never going to see because it's going to be on the back side. Okay. So I just line it up with the bottom, and because they're all 6.5 inches tall, they all line up perfectly. Okay, so we're going to begin. We're going to set this aside. We're going to do one side at a time. We're going to begin with this very front today is what I want to do, and perhaps the back of the envelope. So what we're creating is a stuffed envelope. I talked about that before, and I'm going to show you how I started. Let's see, the 8x8 paper, I started with this sheet and I trimmed this part off and saved it for later in the project. Then I cut the elephant part off and I saved the trim. You see how it has the trim on the top and the bottom? So I cut this off, and it's 8 inches, which means you cut it in half because your tag is 4 inches. We're going to use that for a pocket. So you'll have 2 pieces. And then what I did is I just used my paper cutter to find the 4-inch line and cut it right in half. And so what you wound up with were a side with the elephants, and the other side, and I've already started this, so mine's cut in half, the other side that has the zebra. So here's one side and the other side. If you're just doing a short page, just leave it square. Otherwise, I use the same die cut, okay? And then this part is going to be one of the pockets. So I just found the place that looked right for trimming it, and it might not be the same on both of them. I want to keep the words up here, but I'm thinking maybe if I cut it here so that you have the elephants' heads intact. Let's see. Well, if it's going to be the same, I guess we need to try to get the same measurements just so that it doesn't look awkward. So this one is 2 1/4 inches. So we're going to cut this one also at 2 1/4 inches. Double check that. Yep. Grandpa always said, measure twice, cut once. And we are inking with, I hear my puppy talking down there, black soot. This is another of the Tim Hotz Distressed Inks. And so that's what we are inking all of our sides with. And I have done most of them already so that you don't have to sit and watch me do that. Okay. So this piece will just be glued right on. I'm going to slide this under here so that you can see the difference of what I'm doing, okay? So that one is going to be just glued down right there. We don't have to worry about magnets or pockets. It's, excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. My allergies are going crazy and I had a coughing fit. Needed water. If it happens again, I'll have to have hot tea. All right, so we've glued this portion on. This next portion, and I'm going to actually put it up a little bit, but it really doesn't mess with the picture because this is going to be our first pocket on our card. And remember, I've already inked everything up. I did use my marker on the circle here because the ink pad doesn't really get in there very well. Okay. So remember, we're going to move it up a little. We're altering it. While lining it up on the sides. And you know I like to put a little clip. To help it stay in place while it dries. All right, then this is the other piece. Oops, I didn't ink this one yet. This is the other piece of that paper with the elephants parading across, and we're going to use this as the bottom pocket. This is one of my, making tags is one of my favorite things to do, and making different type of embellishments to pop into pockets is also fun. So we're going to do several different things like that this time. Okay. So again, glue only on the sides and bottom. And then placing it so we can still read the words. And it's a little longer than I needed. So I'm pushing this piece that has just a tiny bit of that elephant, and we can just trim that right off. Just turn it this way. Oops. There we go. All right, now we get to start on the goodies to go inside the pockets. So we're going to start with the piece that's going to go in the bottom pocket. We set this aside. So remember, whatever we're doing it times 2, okay? All right, so this is what's going to be in the bottom pocket. And this template came from the front cover of the 8x8, and the other template we're going to use came from the back of the 8x8. And I double checked, and don't you know, the folder that we had that was from another collection, they have the 4x6 template, and this is on the back cover of the patterns and solids, the 12x12. So using this template, you're going to need 4 pieces, depending. I wanted to use some of the shiny paper from the Tim Hotz collection, the jewels, the metallic jewels, and on the inside of that it's brown like this, and I didn't think that that looked very finished, so I cut a piece for the inside from the pattern paper. So this is what it looks like. So you'll need, if you're going to use the jewel paper or paper that's brown or plain on the back, you're going to want a double one so that you can layer the inside like that, okay? So I'm going to show you exactly how I made this little piece, and you're going to need 2 of them. So after cutting 2 from the metallic paper and 2 from the patterns, I laid it on my scoreboard, and it comes to 4 inches. So you're going to score all 4 right at the 2-inch line. So score that one, fold and crease, and then do the inside piece at the 2-inch line, fold and crease. All right, so this aside. Using your wet glue, I have not inked these yet. And remember, any pieces that your blotter won't get into, just use your black marker. Okay. Of course, we're using wet glue. Remember to get right up to the edges. That way it looks nice and finished. And then a little extra around the string. I found that I didn't have to use the glossy accents to make it work. It worked just fine like that. You're going to place this over the top. And if for some reason your cuts aren't perfect, you can always just use your fussy cutting scissors to trim it up. It looks like this one's just fine. Be sure to put some up here because it's a little thicker. Okay, we're going to set that aside, and we're going to work on the little tag that's going to go inside in the pocket. And this tag is going to fit nice and snug. So we are going to create our pocket this time with, I've hidden a piece for myself, sorry, with hinges. So this paper is exactly 2 inches. So we're going to create a pocket with hinges to make sure that we can fit the 2-inch tag into the little 2-inch pocket we made. Okay, and we've done this before, but I'd just be a little review. So you're going to take a piece of paper that is 3 inches by 1 inch, and you're going to score that. Remember, the pocket is 2 inches, so we have 1/2 inch on either side. So we're going to score it at the 1/2 inch mark, and on this side the 2.5 inch mark, And then when you glue, you're going to place your glue at the bottom in between those two folds, and then on the folds themselves. So we're going to put glue on this hinge and on this hinge, and then just in between these two hinges. That way we're going to save all that space so we have our exact fit. And this is dry now, so we'll take our clips off. Give it a fold. And when I did this on the shiny part, I forgot to use glossy accents, and I found out that this glue works just fine. It dries just as quick, and it's just as stable. So make sure you have it placed right there. A couple clips to hold it. And then your little tag's gonna fit right in there. So you're gonna do 2 of those, one with the Awaken and one with Color Your World. And the little zebras that I have, this came also from a piece on the bottom of the 12 by 12 paper that looks like this. It came from the bottom, there was a bottom strip. And so I cut 2 inches from each to add a little decorative piece to our border. And this one will need a little ink. And this isn't going to be a pocket, so you can put your glue just lightly on the whole thing. Okay, so those are 2 of our items that we're going to put into our stuffed pocket, and we'll just set that aside to dry while we work on the next one. All right, this one is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get to learn how to do some beadwork on this one, and we're going to do some paper tearing. Okay, so for this one, you are going to need, move some of my items out of the way. So on mine, I used a piece of lace. I cut 2 tags out of the 12 by 12 paper, and this is from the Solids and Patterns. It has this cool design on this side, and then a shadow of the same design on the back. And again, this is where your permanent marker comes in handy to get rid of the white. It's in the center right here, the little hole. Okay, so we need 2 of these, 2 hat pins, 2 pieces of lace that will be the same length as your tag. Our tag is about 4 3/4 inches long. A piece of ribbon to put through the hole, and then beads, bead caps, and chain of your choice. I also, for the paper tearing, I like to use a dictionary page. That way you don't have to worry about any words that are on there or messing up with copyright laws or anything like that. We're also going to use some Mod Podge for decoupaging, and we're going to use the tea dye to age our paper. All right, so let's begin with a little paper tearing. That's the part that's gonna need to dry, and then we can work on our beadwork as long as we don't lose those. So when you're paper tearing, you want to have the edges, say if you tear like this, the rough edge is on the back And that is the part that the ink is going to stick to and give it that interest and that contrast. So just play with your paper when you're tearing it and make sure that you're getting the roughest edge that you can. When I tear paper, I don't like to have real straight lines. I prefer some curves. I don't know if the camera's letting you see all that rough edge, but it's looking great. And it's very forgiving, and there's enough room to do it over if you don't like it. For instance, I don't care for that piece right there. We'll just round it off. Easy peasy. Okay, and I'm going to do some more on this side. And you're just looking for an abstract. It almost looks like a piece of torn wallpaper. And then make sure it's going to fit on your tag. And if not, give it a little more tear. We're going to tear the bottom of this. It's not rough enough anyway. So let's give that a little tear. All right, and then I need to switch out my pad so I can ink this. I don't want it to be black. And just work from the outside in. This is very forgiving. You can't go wrong with this. All you're doing is making an aged look. And there are a couple other things you can do too. If you don't have this particular ink, you can use coffee. You can use tea. That's very popular to do tea dyeing, especially when you have a large amount to do. If you're creating junk journals. All right. And then we want to give this a chance to dry. I like to go to scrapbook conventions. My friend Sherry, hi Sherry Thomas, and so I put my Mod Podge in a small container so that I can pop it in my case with me, because you never know when you're going to need it. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over. And you can use a brush, a sponge, whatever you want. Give it a nice coat. And place it on your tag. Then a little more over the top. And I go ahead and do the whole tag so that there's not a difference in the patina where the Mod Podge was and was not. Just put a nice even coat on the whole thing. All right, so there's our paper tearing lesson. And now let's do some bead work. Set this aside to dry. And remember, you'll need to do 2 of those. I already have mine done. This is what we're creating. This tag. 1 of them done. 1 for each side. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is a little bead work. I know I mentioned before that I have wonderful friends that will save broken jewelry for me. So I rarely have to order, but I do have a collection of beads. All right, so what I did first was I found a piece of chain and I put a jump hook on each end. So on one end I put a tiny jump hook. Well, let me show you the proper way to open these two. You don't want to pull them apart like this. You want to separate them more up and down. And then they close much easier. You just have to bring them together instead of squeezing it shut. So you're going to do a motion like that. And watch how easy this is to close. You just go back the other way, and it's nice and tight, all done. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the other end, but this time we're going to need a larger jump ring because we're going to put a ribbon on it. Let's see, and on this jump ring, I am going to put a bead that already has a little jump of its own. That way it'll be just a little decoration on that side. And that will go on the opposite end. And close it up. I can't believe that that happened without me losing anything on camera. Seems like whenever I do anything on the camera, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. All right, so on the other side, I started my hat pin with a square silver bead. Of course, just use whatever bead you have on hand. I happened to find these stripes that look like zebras a long time ago, and so I fished those out of my collection when I knew I was going to work on this because it just seemed too perfect. Okay? All right, and then I'm going to slide the skinny jump ring on the hat pin. Then we're going to put a black bead, and then the zebra bead. And for the white bead, I'm going to use a couple bead caps. So I'm going to put the bead cap on first, and then the silver and white bead, and then the final bead cap. And end with another little black bead that matches the one at the top. Now, to hold everything in place whenever I make my hat pins, I use these for bottle toppers, all kind of things. They're so fun and easy to make. These are earring backs that I'm putting on here. I don't even know if you'll be able to see it. It's a little clear earring back, and I get like 50 of them from Wish for $1. And that just holds everything in place. And it'll help hold it in place of the lace when we finish our tag. So there we go. Now we've done some bead work. All right. Once your tag has completely dried, we can put the finishing touches on it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put this piece of lace in the top. So I double my lace over, put it through the hole. Now normally I would just tuck the other ends, these two ends, through the hole and pull, okay? But today we want to add a little decorative piece. So we're going to pull one side all the way through, and that is why there's a larger jump ring on this side of our pin. So you're going to tuck that into the jump ring, and then back through the hole so you still have that loop with your ribbon. And I guess you could make the loop and then attach it, but I like having some bits and parts done so it doesn't take as long. Oops. Of course my pin came off. Okay, let me fix that. Okay, so once you have the large jump ring on the ribbon. You're going to poke that piece back through. This piece you're going to put back through the hole so that you have that loop. You could just tie it at the top if you wanted to. I just think it looks cool this way. Then these two pieces go through the loop and gently pull it so that you don't tear your tag if you put the metal ribbon. All right, so we have our beadwork all finished, and we have put the jump ring through the hoop and then pulled the ribbon too. Now what we have to do is we're going to measure how much of this lace we need and cut it just along the same lines as the tag. And once it's glued on, if you need to trim a little more, there's no big deal. Alright, so then this part's a little tricky and it might take a little trial and error. From the first one, I have found that the pin needs to go closer to the bottom. So they're the same size. We'll take a peek at this one. So maybe a little more than halfway through. Let's put a clip here as an extra finger. We can. Okay. So we're going to stick the head of the pin a little more than halfway through, and we're not going to poke it back up. Through my trial and error, I figured out that it's going to stay easier and flatter like this. And then you put the little earring back on again. And Theodore's throwing things down for us. See how much work we get done before he insists on being right in our face. Okay, and also last time I didn't put the earring back all the way down. So I didn't put it all the way up to the bead. I left a little room in there, and then I have a little room to play. You want to be sure you don't accidentally hot glue your chain to the paper. That gives it a little movement. I love texture and movement. So let's see if the hot glue gun is hot yet. If not, we'll give it a minute. My daughter-in-law, hello Stephanie Steele, asked for a new hot glue gun for Christmas, and the best ones I found were sold out everywhere. So I went straight to the company and I found a deal on 2. So now we both have a new hot glue gun. All right, so I showed you this template. Hello Theodore. We found this on the back cover of the 8x8 paper. So I gave it a shot, and it makes a pillbox, but it's 2-dimensional for what we want to use it for. So I just altered it a little bit. So what I did, Theodore just threw something down. I hope it wasn't terribly important. So what I did is I just altered it a little, and so I went ahead and traced it. I'll show you my piece. And then it has these scoring lines. I chose not to score it on those lines. I'm only going to score it right down the center on this line right here, okay? And then I'm going to trim one end off, make it rather square, so that I can just turn it into a pocket. So I've just turned it into an open pocket instead of the 3-dimensional pillbox, because it was too bulky to fit in our pocket. So instead we're going to make it look like this, okay? And then put the little tag with the feather inside of it. So while we're waiting for the hot glue gun to heat up to finish this tag, we're going to go ahead and start on this one. So we're going to take this. We'll talk about that in just a second. So we want to score it right down the center line. So you have to hold it still. and then just score it. And then give it a fold. And then you want to score it again here. This is going to be the closure flap. Their lines had it a little farther out so it could be three-dimensional. And we're going to need to ink this up. Might need a little fresh ink here. Again, the one we're using for the black is the black soot of the Tim Hotz Distressed Inks. I'm just going to quickly go around and give this some ink. And on the other one, I noticed that on the folds, it actually looks better if there's a little ink on it too. All right. So we're going to trim one end to make it square. You can use your paper cutter. I'm just going to eyeball it. So we just squared off that end. Oops, no, it'll need to be inked again. That's fine. So we're going to glue that together, and we're going to glue the flap together. And then with my Tim Hotz hole punch, I'm also going to put a little cut where that was so that I know just exactly where I wanted the center of my hole punch to be. And we're going to give it a little clip. And then this end, so I did that right. Oh, that was actually the end that I want to cut flat. This is going to be the front, no big deal. We're going to trim it off, and then in the center, do our hole punch. Hello, Theodore. Right here, we'll do a punch. Theodore, you can't play down here, baby. Look, Mama put some sunflower seeds up there. Go find those. Then we're going to use our wet glue and put a little glue. Let's see, how do we want to do this? I think I want it on the inside. Oops, I almost did it backwards. I want this side to show. No added phone taxes, no hidden fees, no contracts. Stop getting ripped off. Call Spectrum Business today. 855-757-4540.
My teeth were starting to fall out and I lost most of my back.
We give patients a brand new, functional, beautiful smile in just one day.
It's the best thing I've ever done.
So one more time. We're going to put some glue here for the side closure. And then on the bottom, so that it's a little open pocket.
Leo, we're just about 30 minutes away from Chief Justice John Roberts gaveling in at this trial.
All right, so on mine, I used from the tags and envelope this little tag, "Imagination is more important than knowledge," and that was by Albert Einstein. And then out of my stash, I used one of these peacock feathers as a pull. You can fussy cut something from the 12 by 12 paper to make your own pull. You can use a button or a tiny flower. This one's going to be on the outside, so there will be enough room to use a button or a flower or fussy cut, whatever you choose. Every once in a while, I just order some flowers from Wish so that I have them. I mean, some flowers I do, but some feathers so that I have them on hand. Okay, so, and the reason I told you that is because on the one you're going to use, I traced. No, I just clipped and cut. So I followed this pattern to cut a piece out of this paper that matches it. And then I used the same saying, but it was from a sticker. And then to make it similar, I used a little round peacock sticker as well. So they're pretty close to the same thing. It doesn't have to be the same thing. You can do whatever you choose. If there's something you like better, then you can use that. All right, so we're going to give our tag a little bit of ink on the sides.
30 minutes or so, we'll have live coverage
And
here on air and on
we
all
will
our
check the hot glue gun, and if it's ready, we can glue both items. So we're going to set our little pocket over here to dry, and we're going to turn both of these over. And this new hot glue gun does work wonderfully. It doesn't drip. It's called Surebond. You can always use another hot glue gun. We love it. It seems to glue as well, maybe because it gets hotter, as E6000, and you know, dries so much quicker. So I'm just going to put a little line of hot glue, if it's hot enough yet. Yeah, a little bit. There we go, of glue, and then put our feather on the back, and we'll dab that little bit just so it's not too clumpy, and set that aside. And then we're going to finish our lace on our tag. So we're going to kind of move our pin to the side. It's attached to the lace, remember, and I'm going to put my glue that I want right on the tag. I love textures. I love using lace and paper tearing and beadwork, anything for different textures, and then the chain for movement. I love all that. All right, so I want to make sure we get this properly. I have it turned upside down. Now Theodore's back on my head. Hello, Theodore.
It largely conforms to the same rules that governed the Clinton Senate trial 21 years ago. Democrats say there are significant differences, so we're going to be following that today. The Senate trial is not actually in session right now.
Theodore, honey, you're making it difficult.
Chief Justice Roberts will preside. Here's Senator McConnell.
Okay, good time, just a second. All right, so after you get your lace glued down with either your hot glue gun or use the E6000, for the lace, I think even glossy accents would work, but I do recommend that everybody have some E6000 on hand. All right, so on the ribbon, remember we have the little jump ring, and it has its own little bead. Sorry about that. And it says potential spam. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tack a little bit of glue to keep the pin from falling upside down, but you're still going to have the movement of the chain and the little bead that we put on that jump ring. Okay. Well, Theodore's busy up there. Let's see if we can get this piece done. Okay, little dab of glue, and then lay your pin, but not the chain. I try to put it on that largest bead right there. Where the coffee came from. Hold it down. I usually count to like 10.
The Senate's fair process will draw a sharp contrast with the unfair and precedent-breaking
I guess we could put a clip on it too.
By the House of Representatives. The House broke with
All right. So those things are done. Where's our envelope? And it looks like I need to skip this part right here. Of course, you could use a black pen too to get in the hole, but I think that one is big enough for my little blotter to get in there. All right, and we have our feather pull tag right there. So we have 2 of those. Okay, so let's stuff this side, and we will do the same thing to the other side. So we have these 2 pockets. We're going to start with the largest items and put it in the large pocket. So there is our little pull, tag pull we made. Okay. And then we'll put our beaded tag. Here is our little foldable tag that has our yes, with a little tag in the pocket. that we made, and we did that pocket with,
in 1999. 21 years ago, 100 senators agreed unanimously that this
oops, there we go. Telling you. So we made that tag using, the word has escaped me.
was after opening arguments and senators' questions. Now, some outside voices
Using our hinges, there we go. Okay, so let's do
including the leadership of the House majority.
this one the same way, and we have already cut our elephant. Remember, it's on the opposite side now. Now it's on the left side. This piece doesn't need anything extra. It just gets glued on. It's just for aesthetic beauty.
These are potential witnesses.
Okay. And I think this video turned out longer than I wanted, so we're not going to do the back side. On this video, we'll do that on the next one. Okay, so we're going to put that right here. And then remember, we moved the bottom part up just a little.
If they wanted witnesses,
When Theodore comes flying around me, I have all my bits and parts organized over here, and then he drops them. So I am looking for the decorative piece that makes the pocket, but we'll go ahead and do this one.
and move right ahead.
I'm going to put a little clip right there. Make sure it stays down.
Would now like the Senate to freak them in. They're pursuing ourselves. As I've been saying for weeks, nobody
Put this here so you can see what's happening.
will dictate Senate procedure to United States senators. A majority of us are committed to upholding the unanimous bipartisan Clinton precedent.
Okay, there we go.
Outside influences with respect
That will work.
to timing
Now
of
the
these mid-trials.
elephant's here. We're going to move up a little because we're going to make two pockets. So this one is going to be moved up right here. There we go.
Table such amendments and protect our
And we will have to, I will have to turn the camera off and take a little break as Theodore's demanding some time. Say hello, Theodore. Theodore's making a cameo. So let me give Theodore some attention and we will. Okay, Theodore's enjoying some treats. We'll see if we can finish this up. Here is the little piece from the 8x8 paper that we used as the bottom pocket on this page. And now we're going to do the bottom pocket on the elephant page. So a little glue on the back, sides, and bottom. And then that one will go down here. And then we're going to stuff our pockets. So just like we did on this one, starting from the back, we'll put in, that one is tall, and this beaded one that's nice and dry now, so cute. And then in the bottom pocket, well, we'll let it dry, we're going to put our little tag with the tag that opens up. We're going to put, this is from the 8x8. It's a little tag that says look up, and I need to finish inking that one. And then also from the shiny paper, I made two little tags, and that was from the Tim Hotz jeweled paper. So we're going to tuck all those in the bottom. All right, next time we're going to do the back of the tag and the first page and create a closure. Happy crafting.